Never judge a book by its cover. Except for this one. This one you can kind of hazard a guess. Okay, well, maybe that's not fair. You see, this book gets judged by its cover a lot. Particularly on Tumblr. You see, the reason I came across this book in the first place was a Tumblr post commenting about how somebody saw this exact cover of this book at a yard sale, and how there's some interesting appendages on the character's arms. Let's be frank, they look like dildos. Alright, they're dildo arms. It makes no sense! Unless you read the book. Well, intrigued I was into picking this book up, and I can tell you right now, it was expensive, not easily found. I found 3 variant covers, first published in 1978. Its second publication was 1987. So this is the 1987 variant cover, and as I've said before, this book, it's not that popular. The last time I looked, it might be different now, but the last time I looked, this only had about 3 listings on eBay, and maybe 4 listings on Amazon, one of which I picked up because I wanted to make sure I got this cover. I'm only about halfway. I'm actually a little less than halfway, but I still felt the need to bring this book up. Maybe I'll review the rest, maybe not. I've still got quite a bit to go through, but I kind of wanted to take a part, because this first part could be, in and of itself, a story. Simple and almost juvenile way that this is written is kind of... I mean, yes, we gather, it's a science fiction, homoerotic romance story. The main focus is on the character Chrome. And, oh, Jesus. Let me put it this way, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this book is hard to talk about. At least this first chunk especially is hard to talk about, because there's no significant grounding for what's going on or how things have happened. I mean, we get glimpses and things like that, but a lot of the foundational aspects of how these people live is not fucking explained that well. Mundanity is what happens in this first chunk. Repetitious mundanity with little to no explanation. So I'm going to do my best to sum it up as best as I possibly can, okay? You see, in order to talk about the rest, they decided to give you this little preliminary sum up, because chances are you're not going to get it. Okay, the time is 2 centuries from now. Ravaged by the last earthly war, with 2/3 of its population destroyed, our planet still manages to spin on schedule. Peace reigns. In the Western Hemisphere, credit for this condition is taken by all-powerful SORA, the Society of Restructured Americas. Created to pull order out of war's chaotic aftermath, SORA now governs its conglomerate of the former nations and states of this hemisphere with an absolute iron control. In an area of North America once called the Sonora Desert, sprawls SORA's vast Desert Academy training facility. What is to come we view through the eyes of one of its supposedly most enlightened young cadets. Okay, so hopefully you caught that, because the gist is it's in the future. They have futuristic technologies. There's been a catastrophic earthly war that's devastated the populace, right? So now you have this group, SORA, that's taking massive control of everything. And in order to strengthen their country or whatever, they train younger people, cadets, basically. For what? I don't know. In fact, it's even questioned this. What are you necessarily being trained for? Says that guy, the dildo arms guy. He asks Chrome, What exactly is it that he's being trained for? Chrome can't quite answer. The best he can give is for the defense of the United Americas, or whatever it is that they're calling all of, like, the Western Hemisphere now, basically. It's kind of vague. You don't really know what exactly they're being trained for, how they were trained, what their lives actually were like. They give you glimpses, and I get, oh, well, maybe you should read more and it'll explain it better, but here's the thing, if you're not making your mystery that intriguing, and that's not even the mystery. I should not be conflicted or confused about how things are done in this iron-gripped state that they're in. You give no indication of maybe Chrome's ignorance to how controlled his life is. Not really. You give maybe one thing about how Sora will pick his partner, but Chrome is completely cool with this, saying that it'll help find a genetic and personality match for him. So that's, like, negated. You don't get a sense that Chrome is being bullied or pressured or pushed in any kind of way. You don't get a sense that his liberties are under, and I'll quote, you don't get, like, really a sense that his liberties are in danger, and it goes, this is a quote about this book. Behind the glittering electronic tyranny, freedom struggles for its recreation. Truly a laser-dazzling work of the imagination. And this is by Patrick Campbell of London Sunday Times. I don't get a sense that the liberties are really being under attack, because the first chunk of this book is mainly focused on Chrome trying to heal this guy. And I'll get to that guy. Okay. So Chrome is being trained by Sora at a desert academy, and the gist is that he has to go and complete his initiation, and if he fails, his memory will just be wiped, and he won't even have a clue of what he did wrong, and he has to go back into retraining, which is what's happened to some of their other cadets. They get their minds wiped out, and they get relocated. You know, you don't find out necessarily what happens. So none of the cadets actually knows exactly what happens to them, be it that they succeed or that they fail, because if the people succeed, they just go somewhere, and if they fail, they get their minds wiped, and they have to redo training. Okay, so Chrome's training is that he has to become a grunt of some guy that lives in a cabin that's monitored by Sora officials, and he has to basically use his magic touch to heal this man, because you see, when you read the book, the canisters around his arms actually are to protect his arms, because something's happened to his arms. It's never explained, but his arms are damaged and he can't use them. So Chrome is going to use his magic touch to hopefully heal the arms. And here's the problem I have with this. All he's really doing is giving massages. It literally describes, like, dozens of times that he gives the man, his name is Vortex. That's not actually his name, but because Chrome can't pronounce the guy's name, he creates a name for Vortex in his mind, and Vortex just goes, oh, okay, well, I like that, just use that, that's easier. But that's not even the full name he gives him. No. But I'll get to that in a minute. Basically, Chrome's got the magic touch. Somehow, genetically, he is predispositioned to healing. What? I don't understand why this is his test. What are they trying to fucking find? They don't explain that. I get that he's supposed to be kind of in the dark, but it doesn't work because there's no real hints as to what exactly his task is. Oh, he's supposed to learn to heal. What does this prepare him for? What is the ultimate goal of his graduation? Is he going to be a medical officer? What the fuck? It doesn't explain. explain! What's the ultimate goal? To defend Sora. That's his ultimate goal. How is he going to do that? By being a masseuse. Okay, so back to the name thing. For Chrome's first test, when he goes to the cabin that he and Vortex are living in, there's this weird test where he's got to answer a question or not answer a question. Makes no sense because we don't know the rules. The rules aren't really explained to us. We don't know what he's being graded on. It doesn't make sense. Okay? But the gist is the guy comes out naked. You know, I get it. It's a homoerotic fantasy. Like a lot of erotic fantasy, most of the focus is going to be on the eroticism, right? The titillation, the sensuality, the romance, the budding of a beautiful relationship. But because this book seems to be more focused on making a political statement, assuming, just given, you know, in the future there will be only one taboo to love a robot, it might be actually, and again, the Sora thing. There seems to be a political message in there, there seems to be social issues in there, and for the first half of the book, it's mainly just Chrome pining after Vortex, and even going so far in his mind to associate the man with being his king, calling him my young king Vortex, instead of the guy's name because he can't pronounce the name, but he gives him this big, grandiose title. And it would be cool if it were sarcastic, like, oh, he acts like a pompous ass, but no, it's like dopey-eyed devotion, and it feels uncomfortable. I can't really convey to you exactly how it feels uncomfortable, but it kind of feels like a subservience to him, like Chrome purposely puts it. I don't know how to describe it. It just feels weird to give this guy this regal title and be so overly dopey-eyed and devoted to him, and just, it's weird. It's weird. He even suspects that Vortex is a robot. Now, in their future, it's taboo. You can't love a robot. They actually explained that there were something called T-Men, a type of genetically modified human being that was perfect in many genealogical ways, was efficient, etc. They fought for their own life, but they had some problems. Sometimes they didn't even make it past maturity. If they did make it past maturity, they didn't have the emotional complexity to respect other people's lives, essentially. They wouldn't go out of their way to save them, even though that's kind of what they were there for. They wouldn't really go out of their way to save anybody else or help anybody else. They didn't have the emotional complexity to deal with empathy. However, because they were still people in and of their own right, most of these T-Men or whatever were relocated, hidden in public or private lives, mostly in private, government-sanctioned jobs and hideaways, so that they could live their lives without disturbing the public, but it led to a lot of outcry about these genetically perfect people and suspicions surrounding them, right? So I'm assuming that's what they mean by robot, because I don't get it, because they're genetically programmed, but they're not genetically programmed. Are they mechanical, or are they not mechanical? Because it clearly stated that they were genetically modified people, but then they're using the term robot as if these people are programmable. So do they have machinery in them? Well, maybe if I read the rest of the book, sure, but I don't even know if I want to read the rest of the book. Okay, so the eroticism is not that great. They constantly are shoving it in your face. They constantly make Chrome and his, we're just going to say Vortex, his boss, butting heads in awkward ways. Their chemistry is non-existent. It's forced and weird and awkward, and it's mainly focused on the lustful aspects of the relationship and not really the emotional aspects. There are some good things about it, but constantly it's like this, and it's uncomfortable. I've never been comfortable with the whole trope of, oh, these two people hate each other, so now they're gonna be a couple. They don't hate each other, it's just that it's a really awkward situation for these two people to be in. And it just doesn't work well, because the writer doesn't give them enough chemistry to make it work well. And the eroticism is terrible. Terrible. There's one scene, mind you, again, they're in a cabin in the desert. Chrome has to go out. He gets lost. Suddenly, a craft comes by, and it's one of Vortex's friends. I don't know who the fuck it is. I have no clue. But they're like, oh, let me show you the ways of greeting of my people, right? So that makes me think Vortex is a fucking alien? I thought he was a fucking robot, like a genetic robot. That's what they've been glancing at. And later on in the first book, they do explain that, yeah, he is a robot. So why are you saying your human ways or your human customs when all you are is a genetically modified human, for one? For two, why is the other guy making it out like you're fucking aliens? Why did he come in a ship magically? Why was he in the desert magically? All of a sudden, to conveniently pick up Chrome when it was getting dark out. And here's the fucked up part. As part of the first real eroticism of this book, outside of like the little, the titillation, the tantillation of the massaging and the oil and Vortex's sexy, hot body, so beautiful. I don't know how to put this delicately, but Chrome is essentially orally raped. Not that he gets a penis in his mouth, but somebody sucks his dick, even though he explicitly says he doesn't want it. Yeah. He gets tied down in a chair for takeoff when he's in this craft of Vortex's friends. And when they take off, he's strapped down, and the guy goes, oh, let me show you how we say greetings or whatever in the way of my people. And he goes to undo his belt, and he starts fighting him and stuff like that. The guy goes to kiss him, and he bites him. And he says, no, I don't want this. And the guy, like, I'm not joking, it's explicitly described that he gets backhanded and hit. And then gets questioned, why did you do that? I don't want this. Yes, you do. And the guy grabs his crotch and basically is like, you're hard, so therefore you want it. Oh my fucking god! What the fuck? So Chrome basically gets his dick sucked unwillingly. He doesn't know this man, didn't ask for this, resists at first, and then at the end, this is, oh my god, at the end, he says, well, I guess I really did want it, and it felt amazing, and I'm sorry I bit you. That alone, between the shitty writing and the fucking awkward plotting and the lack of good characterization and the lack of chemistry, this is not a good political erotic book. Like, I don't care that there's eroticism in it. I was looking into hopefully getting a good, interesting, romantic, erotic story between two characters. Maybe with the coding of the political and the social stigmas against the relationship scattered in there. What I'm getting is a mess. It's not well written. It's repetitious. It's boring. Overall, I know I've been rambling. It's just... but it's just not that good or compelling, and it's a shame because the premise is a good one. If you want a little eroticism, a little romanticism, and some actual action, you would think that this would be a good one, but it's just not. It's not. It gets sidetracked and overly caught up in details, overly repetitious, and it's just not fun to read. So, I don't know, maybe I'll review the next two parts, or maybe I'll just pick a different book from my bookshelf and consider this money well wasted. In any case, guys, thank you for watching. Terry over and out.